You know that exciting moment when a character says the name of the movie and the theater erupts into cheers? We're sorry to be the bearers of bad news, but if you were waiting for that moment in Captain Mar-Vell, you'd still be waiting today. We learned that Captain Mar-Vell is a woman of many names, but none of them is apparently Captain Mar-Vell. We're assuming this is going to be addressed during Avengers Endgame, and might tie into important plot points involving Captain America. When we were first introduced to the protagonist of Captain Mar-Vell, we were told her name was Veers, and that she was a member of the Kree race. However, later on we learned the name Veers came from a part of her dog tag, which was recovered after a plane crash. Her real human name was Carol Danvers. So how does Carol Danvers get the name Captain Mar-Vell, and why wasn't it included in the movie? After all, what would the first MCU movie even be without the line, "I am Iron Man"? We doubt it's simply because Marvel Studios forgot to name their hero in the movie. Instead, we believe the name has too much significance to pack into Captain Marvel's origin story. We think Marvel Studios is biding their time until the big reveal during Avengers Endgame. Not only will this likely be a big moment for Carol Danvers, but possibly Steve Rogers as well. As you probably gathered from the movie, the Mar-Vell part of Captain Mar-Vell comes from Carol's mentor, Mar-Vell. Like Carol, Mar-Vell was a person of many names. She was a brilliant Kree scientist who lived and worked on Earth under the name Dr. Wendy Lawson. Mar-Vell worked for the United States Air Force, and they apparently didn't conduct a very thorough background check on her. Did they not notice her blue blood during her physical? Alright, we'll just chalk that up to some movie magic. While Carol's story in the comic books is different than that in the MCU, in both cases Mar-Vell is a mentor to her. Carol is in awe of Mar-Vell, and when they pass away, she takes on the name Mar-Vell in their honor. In the comic books, she first calls herself Miss Mar-Vell, which, although it doesn't sound as cool as Captain Mar-Vell, was quite revolutionary at the time. Keep in mind that Carol Danvers made her comic book debut all the way back in 1968, and Miss Mar-Vell finally got a self-titled series in 1977. At the time, female superheroes often struggled to be anything but one-dimensional, and many people worried about women being portrayed as more than wives and mothers. Although Carol has some amazing superpowers, she also has the super ability to doubt herself, which is something many of us can relate to. She resists taking on the mantle of Captain Mar-Vell because she doesn't feel worthy of being considered a captain. Now, in her old life as a human being on Earth, it looks like she did indeed achieve the rank of captain based on the plane we saw bearing her name at the end of the movie. However, we also know Carol feels totally disconnected from her old life, and also feels full of regret for the things she's done while working with the Kree. We wouldn't be surprised if she struggles with the same issues she does in the comic books where she doesn't feel worthy of being called captain. We all know there's another prolific captain in the MCU, and he and Carol Danvers have a lot of similarities. Both struggle to pass the physical requirements demanded of those who join the armed forces before getting help from an outside source. They both have strong senses of morality and justice and are willing to put themselves in danger to protect others. Steve Rogers has been the moral compass of the Avengers for quite some time, and many worry that he won't survive the events of Avengers Endgame. Not only are our heroes involved in their biggest battle yet, but there have been some hints indicating Steve might not survive. When he gazed wistfully at Peggy Carter's picture in the Endgame trailer, we couldn't help but think back to when he did the same thing just before plunging his plane into the ocean in an effort to save others. Sacrifice was a huge theme during Infinity War, and we wouldn't be surprised if he's called upon to make the final sacrifice during Endgame. Please note, we didn't say we wouldn't be sad if that happened. We plan on bringing plenty of tissues just in case. Many people have questioned who will replace Captain America, pointing to characters like Bucky Barnes or Sam Wilson, who also went by Captain America at various points in the comic books. But instead of replacing Steve Rogers directly, it's possible Marvel Studios will replace his role in the MCU with Carol Danvers' character. There's definitely only one Steve Rogers, but his strong sense of responsibility and justice is something the MCU needs, and it may fall on Carol Danvers to maintain it when he's gone. In the comic books, Carol Danvers eventually calls herself Captain Mar-Vell in honor of the previous Captain Mar-Vell, but it's Steve Rogers who encourages her to do so. She's reluctant to take on the name of someone she admired so much, but it's Steve who tells her Mar-Vell would want her to have it. Before she takes on her most well-known title, she goes by other names, including Binary and Warbird. But it seems like in the MCU she's going to skip directly to Captain Mar-Vell, possibly with the encouragement of Steve Rogers. After all, there's a scene near the end of Captain Mar-Vell where Nick Fury talks about the name Mar-Vell, and Carol Danvers corrects his pronunciation. This would have seemingly been the perfect time for Carol to take on the name. However, she distinctly chooses not to. We're guessing this means her name is going to have some added significance, which may become clear during Avengers Endgame. What do you think about Carol Danvers taking on the name Captain Mar-Vell? Do you think it's going to be a plot point involving Steve Rogers during Endgame, or will it be less significant? Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and then click on that subscribe button for more great videos from CBR. Bye for now.